broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, fellow Face-Off fans, and welcome to this extra dramatic episode.
That went really well.
That went really well. Yeah. If you're listening on iTunes, we just spun around in a very well choreographed manner. Welcome to Face-Off Season 10, Episode 10. Keep one eye open. Bum, bum, bum. I am your host, Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And today I am joined by a full panel of amazing, gorgeous women.
Yay! Oh, that was my cue. You can find me all over social media and on the interwebs at Torres890.
I'm Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet at Emma Fyffe.
And I'm Michelle Cullen, and you can find me all up in Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And you can always tweet at us using that hashtag ABTVFaceoff. We absolutely love hearing from you guys, so be sure to comment, tweet at us, follow us on Twitter, as well as also subscribing on YouTube and on iTunes. Here at AfterBuzz, we have hundreds of shows for you. Tons of amazing things, including a brand new show. So if you're curious about a celebrity boyfriend's midlife crisis, do you enjoy hearing stories about behind the scenes of Hollywood? Or are you amused by old TV and movie references? Well, then you'll love The Tomorrow Show with Kevin Undergaro. Join AfterBuzz creator Maria Menounos' fiance Kevin Undergaro, along with AfterBuzzer co-hosts Roxy Stryer, Ashley Daniels, and others for all of the insanity. You guys can watch it live Monday and Thursday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time, and on thetomorrowshow.com, or you can subscribe and download free on iTunes. Just go to thetomorrowshow.com for more information. Now, this episode was one that they threw kinks at from the very, very beginning. They walk into the studio. It's Mackenzie's Little Shop of Horrors.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Little shop.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Which also would be a cool challenge.
I know.
But it wasn't.
Nope.
But it's still cool.
It could have been many things.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was very curious as to what it was. Even we talk about how they give us our references.
I have a lag going on, and I just saw our turn. I'm sorry. It was so good, Chad. It was so good.
I'm so happy.
Oh, it was so great, and everyone's calling us the Face-Off Angels, and I'm kind of okay with that. Sorry,
I'm cool
I didn't
with
mean to
it.
interrupt you, Elena. Please.
I have never been happier with any interruption in my entire life. I love it. I also love just about everything about this episode from the very beginning.
Yeah.
We always talk about how they give us the references to the movies, and we really like that. This time, they gave us some references without any frame of reference, if you will. They just said, from Medusa from Clash of the Titans, going to the Kraken from Pirates, to the Cyclops from Percy Jackson, and you're just like, okay, what craziness is this going to be? I'm just waiting for the ultimate twist.
Twist.
Mackenzie has stepped up her game. It's not just a twist; it's a spin and a twist.
Yeah, exactly.
Now.
I mean, she did a lot of spinning happening.
She did. I love it.
Yeah.
It would have been amazing though if they were like, here are all these mythological creatures. Twist! You guys are doing clown makeup.
No, I thought it was going to be something way out of left field.
I wouldn't have been ready. I would have been like, I can't watch now.
That would have thrown off my groove.
Yeah. Then chucked you out a window? Sorry.
Yep. Ultimately, it ends up being the Cyclops.
Yes.
Which no one is expecting. And then to, spice it up a little bit more, she unveils her jars of creepy eyeballs.
Did you see that awesome little cape flick that she did? She was
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Listen, Mackenzie was like on point with like the dramatic flair this evening.
I
Like,
know.
this was exceptionally good.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
It like brought me back to like my Passions days when I would watch it. And it was like magic. All the everywhere was awesome. I love Passion. I have a passion for McKinsey.
Oh, here we go. Already starting.
It's already started.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, it was just this everything about it just made me feel like I was at a magic show, and I was just waiting to see what these artists were going to create with this ridiculous setup that was given that seemed like it had unlimited bounds. I mean, they really just had the eye, and from that it could be anything they wanted.
Yeah, no, that is very true. I mean, this was definitely not a challenge where there was an object or a painting or a description that kind of limited what you were doing. The only thing they were told to do is you have to incorporate this eyeball.
Yeah.
The end.
And you can incorporate it any way you want.
Yeah.
And you can let that make you change your makeup 4 times. You can make that, kind of have a broad spectrum. We saw everything. We saw very, very set, specific characters.
Right.
We saw kind of, I don't have a concept, but I'm just going to make it cool. And then we saw, I have a concept, and then I'm going to change it, and then I'm going to change it back, and then I'm going to flip it around. And then ultimately,
AKA Rob.
What's up, buddy?
I know.
I got a little,
There's a little
making a cameo here.
moth in the studio.
We ultimately had great makeups from everyone, even the lowest makeups that they saw, the bottom ones. I thought
Emma
pretty
was
cool.
actually talking about how she's like, I don't hate or just like everything is just on point. Like everything, like there was not like a love or
yeah, exactly. With the exception of Melissa's makeup,
yeah.
I didn't love or hate any of them. I couldn't tell what was top or bottom looks because I think ultimately it boiled down to with what they said were the bottom looks, like issues of anatomy and like unjustified like facial folds and things. And so, but as somebody that doesn't spend my entire life studying the structure of the face, like it didn't bother me, I think, the way that it bothered the judges. So that ultimately it's like all of them to me, I was like, well, these are all pretty good, except Melissa's, which was brilliant.
Melissa's amazing. Now, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about having actor Douglas Smith come in, because having actors in, you can get a different perspective than you normally do, and kind of talking about how, somebody who's not a makeup artist, what do you see? What do you see? I mean, he brought in a lot of good points about, as an actor, when you wear this makeup, it has to be able. Alexis is over here just bubbling over. What do you want to say?
I think he's just adorable.
He was just he was precious. Number one. And number two, it was really interesting because, a couple seasons ago they had Josh Hutcherson on. And it was the same sort of thing where it's like, they show up and they're like, that looks cool. And the thing that I liked actually about Douglas Smith was like, he was very aware. He's like, I'm just an actor here to offer my opinions. And so like very specifically in regards to Mel's makeup, where the judges were complaining so much about the facial anatomy, he literally says to her, I'm a lot nicer than they are. I really like it.
I loved that. I was like, you are amazing.
It was just such a sweet actor, and I do agree. I love that it brings in a different mindset because you're surrounded by makeup artists, and here we have someone who might not know exactly what goes into making this creation, but he knows what it takes to wear it and move your mouth and be able to act and emote through it, and that is such an interesting, refreshing take on a makeup to hear.
Yeah. And like, not to gush even more about this actor, but like I just like the fact that because I did see the second Percy Jackson film, and he was the Cyclops. It just, if you look at his makeup, it was cool because it looked like it was very natural, and there is a majority of time where he mostly has 2 eyes. Sorry, spoiler. But there are times where when he did have the makeup, it just looked really flat. And I'm not like trying to say that the makeup was terrible. That wasn't what it was, but I can understand maybe he couldn't move that very well.
Right.
And but I liked his input that he was just like, oh, I love the color on this one. And I love this. It wasn't just like, yeah, it's pretty cool, and then just like move on from there. You know what I mean?
Especially because you don't think about a lot of times about the mobility of the makeup.
Sure.
Because we're so used to seeing the same models over and over, and they are so used to embodying these characters so well.
Yeah.
I really like that we had new models for the first time.
Yeah, totally.
Big and tall. 6'4" to 7 feet tall.
Wow.
I was like, bring Johnny back. Let him model.
7 feet tall? I know.
That would have been the greatest twist of all.
Yeah. Also, here's Johnny.
I think 6'7" is the tallest person I've ever met in real life. Yeah, it was
Johnny,
yeah.
It was Thanks, Johnny.
I met someone who was 6'8", and I felt like I was the tiniest being.
I know.
And I don't like it.
I can't imagine. I want to be tall so bad. I'm so jealous of these models. But I guess if you're going to be a cyclops and have your vision reduced to 1, you at least can see over everyone.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I like to think of it like Minions. Like the 2-eyed ones are little, but the
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I never noticed that.
I like to imagine they were designed for concerts. No, everybody kind of thought that these were an interesting makeup because they could go so many different directions. But I also think that part of, how we said everything was kind of across the board, for the most part, a little vanilla.
Right.
Not super extreme one way or the other. Do you think that's because nobody really goes, yeah, Cyclops? Like, we've seen everyone go like, yeah, dragons.
Yeah.
What do you think?
know
Or
who
do you think it
wouldn't go,
was
"Yay,
just
dragons."
having 5 people, you start to get the nerves?
Yeah, I think it was maybe a combination of both. And again, like, there is something unsettling, I think, going into a challenge where all you have is this one eyeball.
And the fact that, like, you can't, I mean, you can be, like, atomically correct, but you kind of can't at the same
Right, because
time.
nobody has... And if that's the thing, like, an actual human being, if they have one eye, that means something has happened to the other one. So it would be the eye on one side of the face. Nobody has an eye smack dab in the middle of their forehead.
Yeah. So I don't even know, like, how, like, your nose would be bridged or how your cheeks are. So
Yep.
I feel like it was just rough from the start.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of cool watching them craft this anatomy, though,
Yeah.
of these
Yeah.
creatures that don't really exist, but then adding in different somewhat humanoid forms to them.
Yeah.
I really liked a lot of the makeups this week. I thought Yvonne really... she was really worried about it.
That's great.
And her Cyclops, I mean, the judge's biggest complaint about it was that the eye lost some of the focus, which in a Cyclops challenge, the eye kind of is the focus. So, and I didn't disagree with them on that point. But ultimately, I thought, especially if the eye had been a little bit more pronounced, I mean, it was very, and the judges said this too, it was very traditional looking. Like, it looked like the Cyclops from, the Ray Harryhausen, like, Sinbad and movies of that nature that
And I
like
was,
the little stop motion clay figures.
I always liked those, and I liked it looked like the same Cyclops dad who's in Shrek. Also, just if you took the horns out and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that seemed to be one of the other things they weren't like super keen on were the horns, which like you just like Shrek.
It's just like, whoop.
They're like, you just wanted it to be straight up Shrek.
Yeah, there you go. I actually really liked this one. I thought it was cool. I do think it could have added some more detail. And I think maybe if the colors were a little different, maybe not so kind of brown and flesh tone base.
It
Because-
reminded me,
Oh, go ahead.
of the color scheme of the Cyclops in Hercules.
That's
the
what I was
cartoon.
thinking.
It was very reminiscent of that, and I will say, going back to the judge's complaint, like you could tell even when they were showing her trying to do the anatomy of the upper brow, that as soon as it came out, you could tell she still didn't quite get it there.
I did like watching her and Rob help each other, though.
Yes.
Sweet. Talking about
Yes.
it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like okay, well, help me. Like, what am I? It's hard for me to look at my own face when I squish it up and really read it without, so having that second opinion.
Yeah, no, I just think this is a good competition to have that, because the fact that you're staring at the same thing for so long, you're like, I don't know what to look at, and someone's like, oh, you gotta change that. It's like, oh, I would have never seen that, So
From a whole new set of eye, if you will.
No, it is really interesting though, because I think we see a lot of the sort of like earthy, fleshy toned Cyclops that aren't quite like. Forgive me, they're not like white people.
No, you're right.
They're like kind of brown, but like a very sort of natural, sort of earthy brown.
No, I mean,
and that's absolutely what we would see in like Jack the Giant Killer and Jason and the Argonauts and all of those older movies, and I wonder if that's kind of what started the trend, because you're right, in the animated Hercules, that's what it looks like, and in Shrek, and
then even if you watch Percy Jackson, he's not, I mean,
Yeah.
the actor's already pretty tan,
Right,
so
right.
you just added on to that, and I was like, all right, I like that. That was a really good, I would have never thought of that until you pointed that out. That's
well, I
cool.
mean, it's kind. It just kind of is a parallel of like So if I say, you know, Dracula, you picture medallion, Widow's Peak, the whole deal, and like that is the Dracula of Universal, or like you say, you know, Frankenstein's monster, we all think of like the flat top head, but if you actually read the book of Frankenstein, that's not what the creature looks like. But because of the Universal monster films, that is always what the creature will look like.
That's
so,
very true.
Yeah, so I feel like that's sort of the same kind of phenomenon that we're experiencing with the Cyclops.
Yeah. It just gets in your subconscious, and then whether you
Sorry,
yes.
someone in the chat was like, the only it's Renji. He says, the only Cyclops I like is Scott Summers.
Oh, Renji.
Get out of here.
All right.
Get out of here. Leave the jokes to Elena, gosh darn it.
You can talk about superheroes.
No, I know. I love you, Renji. It's okay.
But considering that Yvonne thought that she was going to be going home.
Yeah, no, it was,
Pretty much this
I felt
whole
like
episode.
everybody thought they were going home except for Melissa.
Yeah.
She knew what she was doing.
This was another episode, I think, because normally we have somewhat of a through line, even if it is a twist, of like, these two people were really struggling.
Yeah.
One was on the bottom, but then one ended up doing a great one. And so this one was just kind of like, everyone was going, there's not enough time.
Yeah. I feel like that's what happens with every single focus challenge. Like, I feel like, I wonder if because the idea of the focus challenge is it is a focus on the face and you only have 2 days. But for some reason, it seems like every time they do a focus challenge, it's like I've tried to do too much.
I think because the fact that their brains are just like, I need to focus on this one thing, and then they're like, oh, throw everything at it. I don't know.
Even the name focus challenge just seems like a misnomer. Like, it seems like focus challenge, and you're like, duh. Everyone's like, I don't know.
I mean, Rob tried to put the Cyclops eye in the mouth, and I was like, you're not making a Cyclops
Very
anymore.
glad that was changed.
I mean, Rob, you were just here. You're an amazing person. But in my brain, I was just yelling at the TV, going, "What are you doing?" Come on, buddy.
Rob, though, ended up making a makeup that after scrapping everything however many times, and he also was the only one that when everyone was saying, I'm out of time, I cannot sculpt anymore, I have to mold, this is my only option, I may not be happy with it, but I have to. Rob by himself sculpted away and was like, you know, it's a focus challenge, the sculpt is the most important, I'm gonna hope for the best with the mold, but ultimately, if I'm not happy with what I sculpt, then even if it's a perfect mold, it's a perfect mold of a sculpt that I don't like.
And I love that Melissa was there with him, like cleaning out his mold. It was great.
Can you imagine last minute you're like, okay, I've sacrificed this mold time. Thank goodness for the pressure. Whoa!
I was saying that because the fact that they had to go through that craziness on the last challenge, they just used up all of the pressure water.
This is the fact that that Melissa was out there like cleaning out the mold with him. I'm like, when did she have time?
I think that was probably after she was already done, like cleaning.
The letting it set. I was gonna say the thing I will say though is that I feel like Melissa is the only one that like never had a crisis in this episode. That was just like, nope, I have a plan. I'm sticking to it. I'm going with it.
Oh yeah, I loved that, and I loved her plan of action of only doing half the face first, so that Mr. Westmore can look at it first, and then she's like, okay, I can continue.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to talk a lot more about Melissa, but before we leave Rob, we keep coming back to Melissa.
Because it was so good.
Oh my god! But we have to give Rob his due because he really did do an amazing job. He had this eye that was this blue, had kind of a triangle in it, and so from that he took this aquatic vibe and created this blue and yellow creature.
It was cool.
It was cool. A frog, right?
It was very well. It had the like spikes, and it looked very kind of reptilian, but also fish-like without being a fish.
Right. I thought it was a really smart color choice because he's like, I have this really blue eye. And so if he had gone for kind of a natural color scheme, I actually think the eye would have stood out too much and it wouldn't fit. So he just really just committed to the very vibrant color and it worked.
I think he was going for some poisonous frog that was yellow on the top and then blue the rest of like the bottom, and then blacks were coming out. So I really like that he just looking at the transition from the blue to the yellow coming in, I was just like, this is crazy.
His paint job was just amazing, and ultimately the judges loved this look.
Yeah.
And for somebody who was like, I don't know if I'll have a makeup at all, And them being like,
Every
this-
time.
Every time.
Every time.
Emma called
Actually,
it. Emma called it.
I was like, he's gonna be a top look again. I know it.
And then
Not
That
only
was
was he a
correct.
top
That was
look,
correct.
he had the holy trinity of design.
And I was like, are they
I was
trying
like,
to be
good
punny?
Lord, just the strong silhouette, unique forms, and strong graphics, and the strong ability to
Get outta here,
make
Rob.
something. And like three out of 10 hours, he felt he wasted. So basically, what he said was, "I made a top look in 7 hours."
Put it on the job apps.
That should be under special skills.
Yeah,
I
it
feel,
should.
on your resume. It's just like, go watch season 10, episode 10. Just watch. I've attached a DVD.
Please enjoy.
It was great. So ended up making a look that I honestly think the judges would have said was their favorite were it not for the clear front runner
Oh, yes.
this week. Melissa, spoiler, winner.
my God.
It was like
go
the
up,
second
yeah.
it walked on stage, it was like, okay, winner.
Yeah.
Even watching her sculpt it, I was like, good God, man. But again, dragons. Every time there's dragons incorporated, everybody, and it's also the first time that she was picked first.
That is true.
So she got
Yeah.
to pick her eye
That's
before
true.
everybody else.
I like that she also went into this challenge being like, well, I always kind of wanted to create like a reptilian alien, so
And a cyclops.
and a cyclops, so I'm gonna do that.
That's what I love when they ask her too, like, what's your concept? And she's like, I don't really have much of a concept.
Dragon,
But
lizard.
But then
pause, because her description to the judges
Oh, it was so
of her
good.
concept was amazing. But you're right, Elena. Like it because she did say that he was half draconian, which is a race in Dungeons and Dragons nowadays.
and then just adding his stats.
I know.
And just watching Douglas Smith.
I wish you guys would have saw my face. Emma and Michelle saw it, and I was just like,
What's happening?
I
I was freaking out.
It's
it was
impossible
so
not
good.
to fangirl out in
I
that
mean,
moment.
like, I apologize for anyone who has innocent ears. I had a nerd boner. It was great.
that is
but
amazing.
I loved it because we were all talking about it. The fact that it looked, I don't know if anyone's ever seen Galaxy Quest, it looked like General, I forgot his name.
The main bad guy.
The main
the
bad
bad guys. The bad aliens.
Yeah,
in,
and little
in Galaxy
things
Quest.
that came out, and it was super cool. You should look it up, Galaxy Quest villains, and
Yeah,
you'll see
you
it,
should.
and it looks just
tweet
like
it.
it.
Very similar, and also like has the scales and that same like Python pattern on it. Very
was
similar
very-
color
yeah,
scheme.
yeah.
It was good. It was
Yeah.
really good.
Oh.
The paint job on this
Oh,
was
unbelievable.
insane.
Oh my
God.
Based on the reticulated python.
Reticulated
and just,
python, yeah, that's one.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
It was genius.
It was gorgeous.
It was reticulated. Because it was amazing. Nope.
It was just going to the last looks, and she was like, "It's dark," and then I wanted to be it settled too much, and then just going in over it with the lighter colors, and then going in again, and
even
like
putting the
that
red
can backfire so fast.
I was afraid of that red spotting she was doing. I was like, ugh, it's gonna look weird.
And then it came out on stage, and you were like,
I love the feathers too.
Yeah. It was, and talking about, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say this was a makeup that just like the more I looked at it, the more I liked it.
It's one that you could look at for, it's another one that I would say is when we get our dream face-off action figure line.
Of course, 100%.
Garnex
yes.
will be like the
Oh, yeah, no, yeah,
18
for sure.
scale, like the huge one
Yeah, no.
with all the details.
Yeah. When it first came out, it overwhelmed me. I was like, there is so much happening just all up in here. And then I
all
kept
the
staring
beating.
at it, and I was like, I don't want to look away. Don't pan
Yeah.
away.
I was like, that is the holy trinity of
Yeah,
design.
right.
And then with more things added just perfectly.
Yeah.
But I love that Douglas Smith did point out where he's like, as somebody who's had to be a cyclops, you have two eyes. You can't just start seeing out of your forehead.
out of your fake
So
eye.
having all of those holes on the side and giving the actor vision, but having it as part of the anatomy so seamlessly blended in, she really took into account this is, that movie, that is going to be a main character. That actor is going to be in that makeup for hours and hours and hours. I want to see this movie.
I know.
yes.
So, as an actor, it is nice to be able to see your surroundings.
Yeah,
Especially if you're gonna
definitely.
be that tall too, you just start banging into stuff, you know.
And you just imagine that the sets for that would be elaborate. So
yeah.
it's like you have to think about all of these little things. So I love when they have the actors and the members of the crew and people who have to utilize the makeup not just from a design but from a functional perspective.
Yeah. And all of your co-stars are going to be like 2 feet shorter.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
You just start running into them. It just becomes like a whole Boris Karloff Frankenstein.
I mean, I'll take it.
This is probably one of my favorites on the show.
Yeah, me
ever.
too. Yeah.
So-
I can't remember what season it was, but with the violin creation, that one's
Yeah.
my favorite.
Oh.
That one's my favorite of all time. I
still love
Yes.
Kelly's redheaded witch with
Oh,
the
yes, that was
Okay.
sweating
Haunted Dreams.
Oh,
yes,
But
I do.
Melissa,
I forgot about that.
you joined the ranks of our
so
all-time
good.
favorite.
Right
so
there.
good job. You are a winner and well earned.
yes.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
And I was stalking you on Facebook the other day because I was showing somebody how much you looked like Charlie Day when you did your makeup, which is also super good. So, couple looks didn't really work out as planned, unfortunately. Walter had some issues.
The thing about Walter was that, like, throughout the episode, he was not someone they were showing as having issues. So it
was
came
just-
as somewhat of a surprise, you
Maybe it's
know?
because he had so many last episode. They're like, let's cut down on poor Walter
I
today.
know.
Let's.
Yeah.
He had a rough one last week. Let's.
Yeah.
But
That
like
is
the
true.
bald cap just was fighting him on every
It
single
was.
Was
end.
it just because maybe the the model was like sweating a lot? Maybe. So maybe
Maybe.
the glue was like was drying up too quickly or wasn't setting or something.
I mean, it is
don't
also
know.
possible because we don't get any of this sort of behind the scenes insight. We do occasionally, but like there are some models that are like allergic to the really strong adhesive that they would normally use. So I wonder, with new models, they might have done
Something
different.
What's that? Was it spirit gum? Is that the one that?
No,
they-
spirit gum. No.
Spirit gum
Spirit,
is-
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of something else.
Rosade, I want to
Okay,
say
yeah.
it's called.
I don't know what I
Yeah.
was thinking. It was something else, but
Yeah, no, spirit gum isn't adhesive, but that's really just for doing like little mustaches.
little stuff. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, ooh. But yeah, because I was trying to think of what the stuff that they use for people who haven't done makeup before, but I can't remember. For the life
Yeah,
of
it
me
is
what
something else, and it is not as good.
Yeah. Which there were just a lot of things that were fighting him that I think if he had had more time and not had to struggle with the bald cap so much, it would have been
Yeah.
a look that he could
Yeah.
have really, really rocked out because he took the time to really like test how he was going to paint it.
I have to say I was really impressed of like how the contestants were really smart because the fact that it was a focus challenge, how they were just like putting in latex to practice the paint, and then how Melissa was grabbed a prosthetic and was just practicing how the paint blends. I
Yeah.
thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah,
How they were
yeah.
prepping themselves already for the craziness that was
Yeah.
going to ensue.
Which we don't get to see a lot, which I like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was really
agree.
cool. 'Cause I was
Which
like,
is somebody who likes to pretend like I will ever have skill like this. I go, oh yeah, you should practice.
Yeah.
And then I sit and watch it.
yeah, no. I'm the same way.
But Walter, I think ultimately what his biggest flaw was, it was a focus challenge. They do not like when you go out onto the body at all
They
on
don't.
a focus challenge.
No.
Because even if it is just a quick paint, they go, that quick paint could have been more detail
On the
into
face,
the
yeah.
face.
Do you think he would have hurt more if he didn't paint the body and just went out as just his makeup?
I mean, I think that one of the biggest things that was working against him here was the fact that the body and the face were totally different colors.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't even notice it until Emma pointed it out. I was just
Yeah.
kind of like, "What are you talking about?" And then when they did the full top of the head to chest mid shot, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, they were very
there's
different.
A lot of
Right
browns up
away.
in there." Yeah, I couldn't
Yep.
see it at all. I was mostly focused on the crazy nebula that she pointed out in the ears.
But that's the thing, you should be focusing on the face.
face. Yeah.
Nothing should make you pull your focus from that
the
when
face,
it is a focus challenge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that the arms were different colors and they would have been if he hadn't have painted them.
Yep.
But
Right.
it would have been like, hey, this was an intentional choice. Obviously, if I was on set, we would have something that would cover the arms.
Yeah, yeah.
That was not the task at hand.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think trying to kind of add more and make a more complete character, which is a really good artist's natural instinct.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I do not fault him at it at all.
No.
But I
Yeah.
think that that's what pulled from this character and made it
Yep.
a bottom look.
Yep.
Okay.
I do
agree.
also think the sculpting was a little off
It
on
was,
the face. With the wrinkles, it was kind of naturally lopsided.
was a little bizarre.
Yeah. Off center from the eye. And that's really, really tough when the eye is just directly in the center of the forehead and you have like natural wrinkles going farther down one side of the face almost.
Well, the wrinkles were supposed to be so the model could lift them and see.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was a good functional thing that they didn't really address. They did a little bit, but not as far as judging. But
Could you still do that though with how the wrinkles were though? I couldn't even see it.
I feel like it just didn't really work as planned, and then it just became a design
In the
flaw that wasn't really that didn't really serve a purpose. But it's still, I think, was a pretty cool look, and I liked his idea of having this son of Hades, and it really read that way, and having the quills that he ripped apart the feathers, I thought was a really cool detail.
Yeah.
So it made sense to me that he was bottom look, but not on the chopping block fully.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Mel. Just nothing really worked out for Mel this week.
Poor baby child. Poor
And
sweet
to
baby
have
child.
the look that you don't really like, you're not really happy with the sculpt, you're not really happy with the mold, you hope that you're going to fix it in paint, and then when the paint kind of dulls, you add the shine, and then it just becomes a glossy version of what you didn't want. And then on top of that, insult to injury, twist the knife some more to hear the judges laugh at your unintentionally funny character.
God, it hurt my soul.
It did. But at the same time, I was like, if this had been intended to be comical, and she had more time to take it in that direction, it could have been a really, really funny, fun character.
I totally agree.
That would be a very Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have definitely been.
Bring him back and just be like, all right, Pee-wee, what do you think?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really wanted like goofy ears.
Yeah.
On the side. But I will say when she first said her concept, I turned to Alexis and I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a law against that.
No, for
That's
sure.
it.
The G.I. Joe
That is-
dog Cyclops.
We needed to breed a new species
And
to
I was like,
handle
weird
war. And I was like,
baby.
so what are you implying?
I didn't get the dog thing. I didn't get why she was trying to go in that direction.
She did that because the eyeball looked like a husky eye. Because it was bright blue.
That's right.
But, I mean,
But a husky eye looks like a human eye, which is
more or less.
it's very human-esque.
it's just a very icy blue kind of eye. In my brain, I was like, why did Mel even pick a human eye in the first
Yeah.
place? There were so many other cool ones there.
it was a
Not
bold
saying that it was
choice.
bad, but it was
Because she had second choice. She had second pick. It wasn't like that was the one that was
Yeah,
left.
and it wasn't, and they also had more eyeballs than there were
Yeah.
contestants.
They had 8 or 9 eyeballs to choose from for 5 people. There were options.
I'd be sad if I was the production designer and my favorite eyeball didn't get picked.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Maybe that's just me.
No,
I'd be
I'd be
emotionally
on the same
invested.
boat. I'd be like, what's happening? You don't like my eyeball?
I do. I kind of like when there's only one choice at the end. And it's
Yeah,
like, well, it's like here's the
I'm gonna make it work.
kickball of eyes
like,
from kickball to
Well, and that
eyeball.
kind of goes back to what we were sort of talking about, that with all you have to do is incorporate this eyeball, it actually is a little bit like overwhelming in a sense that like I can do anything and here's an eye. But there is something I think kind of nice about being the person who picks last, because then you go, okay, this is what I ended up with. And I have to figure out how to make this work. Rather than being the person who gets to pick first, picking what you really, really want, and then your makeup going totally wrong.
Yeah. And a lot of the artists have said, that we've talked to before, have said, the one thing that we would hate the most would be for them to go, okay, now do whatever you want.
Yep.
Because then you just go, panic mode, there's so many options, I have no idea. So having kind of more limited
No. That's exactly how
constraints.
my creative flow works. Is that anyone's like, oh, you're an editor, so you could just edit whatever you want. I'm like, no, I need clear direction. I need you to tell me exactly how you want it, and I'll do it for you. But if you're like, yeah, do whatever you want, I'm like, no, I don't want to do it.
It's the difference between putting together a puzzle and then painting a picture on different pieces of paper and then assembling them into your own completed
Oh my god, you're giving
piece.
me an anxiety attack
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
Like just thinking about it. But no, Mel's just had a rough week in general, especially with last week with hers, and then now this week too. So I was just like, ugh, I know you're better than this. But I haven't called it though.
I will say I loved the little interaction and the banter when she's talking about making her mohawk from
so cute.
That was cute.
Did
She's
she
like,
do
I
that?
had a mohawk.
She didn't.
She
Okay,
didn't.
that's what I thought. I was like, what's missing from her bald cap?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize
It's
she
an
did
interesting editing choice on their part to leave that in when she didn't do it.
When she didn't do it. But I think it was just kind of like a... Remember how much we love Mel? She had a mohawk once, and then Walter's
was
like...
cute.
Okay,
when,
that was adorable.
Yeah, when he's like, oh, so you're like the rebel punk kid? And she was like, this was like 2 years ago.
Scenester.
Yeah, she's a senior adult.
Yeah, scenester kid. Nope, I was a scenester adult.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was great. I love Mel.
I know.
I love
Everyone
her.
loves Mel, and I
Yeah.
think that they left that in on purpose, just to be like, hey, not only is she an amazing artist, we can't really show you all of her previous work on this episode because that wouldn't make sense. Here's a little reminder of how much you love her just as a human.
Yeah.
As well as an amazing, talented artist.
Yeah.
Which made perfect sense when they said, all right, Mel, unfortunately, it was a good idea, but it just did not come together. It was too many different things, and it fell apart. And she very, very nobly just said, I understand.
Yeah.
And then, twist! Throwing down the one-time immunity.
Yes.
Go, Mel!
And guess who semi kind of helped her with that? So, as if you guys don't remember, when they were talking about her and everything, he was just like, I thought she did really well, and he was just saying all these nice things. And they were just like, yeah, we agree. And I was like, yeah, he just saved her.
It's so
Yes.
true. No, the thing is watching this episode, I definitely got the sense I was like going into it even before I saw the completed makeups. I was sort of getting the sense of, okay, no one is really that committed to their makeup.
Yeah.
No.
And so I was, and basically, like, with the exception of Melissa's, which was brilliant. Yes, Rob's was good, but I would even still lump his into this category of like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It's not one. Besides Melissa's, nobody is one that I think that I will remember.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. They were
A few months from now.
Yeah, they were all good. And so I immediately got the sense I was like, I think they're gonna use the immunity this week.
And she just freaking nailed it. Emma was just like, yeah, they're totally gonna use it. And both, like, Michelle and I are like, no, don't take Mel away. Oh, okay, she's back. All right, cool.
I was
Yep.
not
I'm not
surprised.
crying. I'm not. I was
do
cutting
think
onions.
It was kind of a bittersweet moment for the other contestants when they come in and they're like, they use the immunity and they're like, yay, Mel. Oh, we don't have any more of a
I don't
safety
get
net.
you.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay,
That was it.
all right. This is it.
Yep.
Yikes.
But we have the final five yet again.
Yes.
I know. I'm so excited.
Which I love because I love all of these guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Yeah, at this point, it's like anybody that goes home, I'm gonna be really sad about.
Yeah, I was really sad with Robert and with Johnny too, though. There
Yeah.
were a lot of people this season. I was like, come back to me.
Yeah, I feel like Anna was a big upset.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't even want to bring that up.
Now,
No, I'm sorry. I was just looking. Alan also said no jokes in this episode, and I was like, oh yeah, they do usually put a funny in there. Oh, maybe it's because Robert's not there.
I will say
Robert,
the
guys.
joke was all of the judges introducing themselves and V going, I'm going to keep my eye on you. They're like, ha ha ha, jokes. And Neville, hello. That was the funniest moment to me. It was just like, no time for
Mine was the sheer number of times that Mackenzie turned dramatically towards the judge's camera.
That was my
And
favorite.
just sort of the dun dun dun.
But it was so weird because I feel like she does that, but like for some reason it was more dramatic.
Again, it was the way that they edited it, where they actually because it's multicam, so
Yeah.
like she's turning towards the judges and being picked up on their camera, but like they started on the judge's camera as she was turning instead of like after she already turned.
Yeah, so I was just like, what's happening? Because I felt like she's doing like a
interesting-
hair
yeah.
flip at the same time, and I was like, what's happening?
I will say, though, I feel like my only complaint with this show really is that Mackenzie is not elevated on a gorgeous, bedazzled turntable so we can
agree.
see all elements of her
yes.
outfit, including her shoes.
I just really need that to happen at some point. Like if Mackenzie could just
want it.
emerge from the floor.
And just keep going up, and then it's just like the crystal background here, but
Yes.
like on a platform.
So I don't know if anyone's watched Toast Club, the anime.
Oh
but I
yes,
remember
no,
when
like
she comes out
like
of the,
just like Renge, like
yeah, when
Renge
she comes
shows
out
up.
of the thing.
Yeah.
Just look it up. You'll find
You'll
it. But
love
yeah,
it.
when she's just like, ah, she's like coming out of the floor.
Why does she like to go like that?
She's
Oh my.
my favorite. She and I are the same person. It's fine.
Oh yeah, no. I after we've met, that's all I see. Anytime I watch that show is you just coming on the floor with a giant microphone. It's great.
I have to say, with it being the final 5, let's get into a little bit of predictions.
Yes.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV.
I mean, the next episode, guys. Oh my god, guys. What? So excited.
Wanted to just flip a table in a good way.
Of joy.
In the best way.
Yeah, World of Warcraft. Holy moly. I'm so excited.
Which I was like, we already had the stats this episode.
No, we
I
didn't even
know.
That was
we
just
needed.
that was a teaser.
I was going to say, so that being said, I think, like, Melissa will be very successful in the next challenge.
I agree.
I really want to see Mel come back because the last time they had an immunity, it was season 7, and it was Sasha, and she won the next challenge.
Yes, she did.
Yep.
I would love to see that from Mel. I'm worried that she's a little shaken from these past couple of weeks and
She needs a
might
win.
end up in the bottom looks again, and I really, really, really don't want that. I think Rob might take it.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
I know. I think Rob might just win it all because he was top looks again.
I feel like it's
After
gonna
being
come
worried?
down to Rob and Melissa.
Ooh,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, those are my predictions for that for sure. But I think Mel needs a win for sure.
Oh yeah.
To move on.
She needs
She
a
does.
+5 to confidence.
Yeah, no, like,
she
for
needs
real.
a winner. She at least needs to be a top look next week.
at least something.
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because there's a reason that they brought her back, because she is immensely talented.
No, she's so
Incredible.
talented. I mean, and isn't she the one that did the face lacerations on the in the gauntlet?
correct,
Amazing. And like that is gonna stick with me for the rest of my life.
Yes.
So like she's
So good.
so talented. So I really want to see her come back really strong.
I think she can do it. I think if she just shakes off these last 2, I think she's just gonna blow everyone out of the water.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think she'll have all of us saying, wow.
Oh no. Nope.
Got that. I was there. I understood that reference.
I will say this is pretty much a dream challenge. If you guys could have any challenge on this show, any challenge that they may or may not have already done, what would be a dream episode for this cast this season? What do you guys want to see?
Oh, for this cast
cast.
specifically to do. Jeez.
That's rough.
I would like to see, especially because we saw how well Mel did with this, and I'm so on her side. I would love to see like T-virus mutations.
Ooh.
You know, like Resident Evil, but like not the zombies, like the William
actual-
Birkins of the world, and yep.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
oh man. Crap.
Well, that would be an interesting challenge.
Make this crap into crap. Go for it.
I would love, and it's probably because I watched a mockumentary on it, but like a mermaid challenge, but not the traditional type of mermaid. Like different and then incorporating, like they did it for a season finale. I forget which season because I'm awful. Incorporating the water acrobatics to it to see the wearability in water.
I love
Oh,
that.
that's right. I remember that challenge.
So doing like
love
a non-traditional type mermaid.
Yes.
Slightly scary.
Like sirens, kind of
sirens,
but like
yeah.
really like.
I will
like,
say,
whoa.
Kaylin Ashley, Team Mermaid
know, right?
herself,
I know, right?
posted a meme that cracked me up where she said, there's way too many pictures of mermaids looking pretty on a rock and not enough of them eating sailors.
Yes, and that's all I want. Crap, man, you guys all took really good ones. I right now I'm really into I mean, I know we're doing WoW already, but I really want something that's just really full, like, crazy video game status stuff. So, like, taking a lot of, like, Destiny, Dragon Age kind of, creatures.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I'm at right now. Or, like, really doing a crazy horror challenge to the point where, like, we actually do make, like, tiny little horror movies. Since we've already done films.
Yeah, for sure.
But, like,
yeah.
actually doing something where it's so out of this world. Like, taking our classic monsters and just elevating them to an extra level to make them scarier. I know that that's not as cool as the other as everybody else's, but yeah. don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of cool if they did an Inner Vice challenge where they had to do a self-application makeup, like we got to see the superheroes.
Oh,
before,
yeah. That was a
but
fun
it's
challenge.
to
was kinda
represent
cool.
what they feel is their own biggest vice. So we get more
yeah.
of their backstory, a little bit
Okay.
more of a
I like that.
conversation, and also application on themselves.
I like it. I'm into it.
If you guys have any really cool ideas, we would love to hear them. So tweet at us, use that hashtag ABTVFaceoff. Definitely comment and keep up with us. Where can we find some more from you?
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and all those things at Emma Fyffe, which is my name.
You can find me all over the interwebs as Torres890. Follow my vlog on youtube.com/PS890.
And I'm Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at that Alana Jordan Girl. And you can find us all here next week. Bye. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.